In the summer of 1775, General Washington sends two armies to invade Quebec. One force of 1,000 men will sail up Lake Champlain and the Richelieu River to strike at Montreal. It is led by Richard Montgomery, once a captain in the British Army, now the youngest Major General in the American Army. But the second attack is to be the real surprise, coming up through the wilds of Maine and then up the Chaudière to assault Quebec. Arnold is still 6 weeks away, but Montgomery's army has already begun the invasion. Thanks to Walker, several hundred Canadians have joined their ranks, and Quebec is falling to the invader piece by piece. By mid-September, they are on the doorstep to Montreal. Now all that stands between the city and the enemy is the British fort at Saint-Jean. The Americans surround it, cut its supply lines, and bring up the siege guns. Inside the fort are a few hundred British regulars and a handful of Canadian militia. There are also 80 women and children. For the first few weeks, they carefully count every musket cartridge and ration every scrap of food, and the siege is bearable. For 7 grim weeks, they hold out. But on the last night, the American guns pound the fort for 8 long hours. By morning, British Lieutenant Joan Andre knows it is the end.
The situation of the sick and wounded was a very cruel one. They were neither out of reach of danger nor sheltered from the inclemency of the weather. There was now nothing left but to frame the best articles we could for the garrison.
A surrender with honor. On November 3rd, the battered garrison at Fort Saint-Jean gives in. Much of the British Army is now in captivity. Montreal is defenseless.
You can't imagine we're in the worst possible situation.
A few days later, Montgomery's Americans take Montreal without a fight. Some welcome them as liberators, declaring, "Our hearts have always desired the union offered to us by our brothers of the colonies." Governor Carleton escapes Montreal at the last minute and flees to Quebec City. En route, he is stunned by the news he must defend it against not one, but 2 invading armies.